We're here at the Election Integrity Summit in Orlando, Florida, October 2022, and it's our esteemed privilege to interview Patrick Byrne, the CEO and founder of the America Project here in Florida, and the incredible producer of the rigged film, one of the very first films to highlight the election fraud 2020. And welcome to the Concerted Commander Radio Show.
Thank you, JD. Thank you, Pastor Christina. It's an honor to be on. I'm not sure you're aware of it, but I was born in Indiana.
Really? You mentioned that our last time.
Oh my God!
And I've got to get you Harry Hoosier information.
Yeah, okay.
We're going to do that. Apologize if we didn't last time.
Because I recall it's that you have some different explanation for the Hoosier story.
The true, and we debunk all the others.
Okay. I'll need it.
Patrick, you've been an incredible patriot fighting for election integrity.
Yes.
Now we have a summit here in Florida 10 days before the 22 election, and this is an incredible cast of people from whistleblowers to 3 candidates for Secretary of State, and you put together an incredible package. Talk about what's going on here today.
Yeah. Well, this is an example. We call them ghost dances, which we're doing all over the country. We've just helped facilitate. We just rent a space like this. We bring in a couple speakers. Often it's a lot of citizens who show up. Right. Sometimes it's elected officials, and they want to hear what citizens have to say about what they're experiencing. We have other people like Doug Frank come and talk, and the officials and the public get to hear it. So, the powers that be tried to shut down everything they could in America, tried to shut down you. But the one thing they can't shut down is having some elected officials come to a place like a Doubletree Inn and meet with some local citizens. They can't stop that yet. And that's all. And once these local politicians hear what's going on and stuff, they've been very, they go into action. It was something like this that got the whole Arizona audit, Maricopa thing. It started in a room like this, in an inn like this.
Wow. The committees of correspondence in our founding fathers. This is in that vein. Incredible. There is so much that's been presented. Now, this is an all-day event, but we are learning all these different camera angles of election fraud.
Well said. Yeah. There's so many different places you can look in.
There is.
And at the center of it, there are the machines, but that's really just everything is integrated into the machines. There's all this fraud out at the periphery, and it just but the machines have to be wired to go along with it.
Sure.
Well, that's incredible, and I know you've been working with the Lindell team a little bit.
Yeah, well, we're like fellow travelers. We're focused on the same star. We're taking. He said to me once, I think this was our total coordination. This is for the J6 committee. Whoever wants to. The total coordination is. And we're here about a year and a half ago. We passed each other in a hallway, and he said, "Hey, Byrne, in this thing, I think I'm going to be I'll be the air game, you're going to be the ground game." I said, "Yeah, that's about how I have it, Mike." He said, okay, well, fine. That's the entire coordination between Michael Lindell and me.
Yeah. Like a Star Wars project in a way. Different kind of ground level.
I thought of that because of the films that you both have produced.
Yes.
And it's so incredible, so seminal. And we're only 10 days away from this election in 2022.
Yeah.
But already today, what's been presented, there's a roadmap.
There's a roadmap.
Yeah.
There's a roadmap, and we have to take them. It's a little bit like those. You ever watch football?
Yeah, a little bit. Slightly Indiana.
Whenever I used to be a defensive lineman. Okay. I love those sacks where one guy hits low and the other guy hits high, and the quarterback just spins. That's what it takes to take this down. Yeah. We have been on the ground game has been getting the election integrity going, getting the systems looked at, checked, getting the rules tightened up and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, it only works if the public shows up and votes. We can overwhelm their cheating. We now know they can generally cheat 8 to 10%, and they can push it to 15% in the cities.
Wow.
8 to 10%. We think Kerry Lake, for example, really won by 12%.
Sure.
But it's reported 2% because they cheat 10.
Yeah.
That's how it works. So we have it takes what we've been doing for 2 years and tens of millions of dollars trying to get the political landscape changed and people being active, and it takes the public coming out and voting.
Yeah. Voting.
And if
Keyword.
we don't do
Yeah.
it this time, I was just in New York, and some ambassador to the United Nations, actually, a very formal guy,
Wow.
came up to me in a social setting and said,
Sure.
Patrick, do you know that all of history is relying on what happens in this election? If America doesn't get this election straight,
Wow.
there'll never be a 2024. If this is another rigged
Yes.
election,
Sure.
and this is like a UN ambassador openly acknowledging they know our president was rigged,
That's
our presidential.
crazy.
He says,
Yeah.
there'll never be another, and the whole world is counting on America to come out of this craziness, and it comes down to 10 days from now.
Wow.
I said, fella, you're reading my emails, yeah, of course.
Well, and we're learning, and we have been over the last few years. There's just 3 major
Yeah.
voting machine companies.
Yeah.
There's the Heart, then ES&S and Dominion, and that's 90%, 93% of all the systems in America. So there is a little cartel here.
Yeah, and what's even worse is you could basically say, you know how there's Intel inside
Yeah.
and there's Microsoft.
Yeah.
Whether you buy Lenovo or Dell or who are the other manufacturers these days of laptops besides Apple?
Acer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Acer's
whichever one you
one.
buy, it's Microsoft inside.
Sure.
Similarly, in Dominion, Hard, ES&S, it turns out it has historically been Smartmatic inside.
Yes,
Smartmatic
yes.
inside, and Smartmatic is a Venezuelan company formed in 1997 that moved to the United States. So how's that? And that's been the Microsoft inside. Now Dominion claims that in 2018 they rewrote their code, but that's
We all
you
know
know,
that.
yeah,
We,
well,
we all know that. some
okay.
of that.
Maybe it's like anyway. So
Yeah.
it's believe it or not, it's a Venezuelan company's system, Smartmatic, that has been
Venezuelan.
inside.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's also turned out that the Dominion machines, while assembled in a Taiwanese factory, the motherboards come out of mainland China. The motherboards are made in
Yes.
mainland China. And of course, Connect, which turned out that the poll station software is Chinese, and 1.8 million election workers'
Right.
information's in China, so they're all compromisable. And it goes on and on. It's like it's a bad dream. It's a bad nightmare. China and Venezuela are basically running our elections.
Oh, Patrick, it's amazing you mentioned Connect, because
Yeah.
3 days ago I got a phone call from a former dad of the Boy Scouts, my son and his son, and he said, I've been a canvasser, and he goes, and I did some sleuthing. He goes, I'm finding 5 people with last names that are different,
Yeah.
did not vote in one home. When I
Yeah.
went and talked to the
Right.
owners, they said, we never heard of these people. So he goes, I've been a canvasser. He goes, but I know, and he pointed, and I downloaded $1.25 million contract with my own city, Marion County, the election board, with Connect. And so he talked about Mr. Liu, and you know what's going on, where the guy's being indicted, and he's given data to China. Now you're explaining, well, that's easy. It's a Chinese company.
Sure.
It's from a security point of view, it's totally porous, totally riddled, and there's no question anymore. The DHS has come out. They came out on June 3rd of this year and wrote a report that said may as well have been titled, I'm sorry, but it may as well have been titled Patrick Byrne was right again. The report was just about how awful these systems are. There's 9 major hacks, 9 major security vulnerabilities, and there's no patches for them. This is what the DHS says, not wacky Patrick Byrne. This is what the DHS now says.
DHS.
And the surveillance, absolutely. Doug Frank's been part of looking at various hard drives and systems that have been accessible, like Tina Peters, and it shows absolutely there is code in there that is rigging the election, up, down, and sideways, no question anymore.
Well, and the patents, I mean, we came across, because we had someone give that information to us a year ago with the Republican assemblies here in Florida.
Yeah, we did.
The very patents that Dominion has on the adjudication machines and the voting machines and the tabulation machines, it says in the patents, mobile access available. What does that mean? Internet accessible.
Yeah, as Doug Frank said, all of these, whether they tell you or not, they're all internet accessible.
Yeah.
Because even when they're not, when they say they're not, there's still modems that are connecting, they say, just to each other. But as long as one machine in a network is hacked, the whole network is hacked. So yeah, these are all connected to the internet, and have all been lying. And Doug Frank was correct to just tell you that.
Right.
How would you assess your organization and getting the word out about, and now today, this has been quite a conference, 10 days away from the election again, but you're a household name. you
Not
created
aware of
that movie among conservatives, at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
thank you.
I mean, we go back to Indiana and
Yeah.
spread the word with
Yeah.
conservatives, and we mentioned you and your film. We said everybody watch that film, and
Absolutely.
but now as we have a high view look at this election 10 days away, I think American people are more educated than ever before.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And something we've been pushing, and you can go to a website called onemoremission.com.
Okay.
We're asking former police, fire, ambulance, nurses, first responders,
Wow.
plus veterans to get involved in the election process. There's three kinds of workers: election workers, election observers, and citizen observers.
Sure.
It's probably too late to be an election worker this cycle, but get in. You can still be election observers or citizen observers, and you can just go to onemoremission.com, and in 10 seconds, it tells you, okay, here you just say, here's my state, here's my county. It tells you 3 numbers to call. It is so important because what the goons are going to do is they're going to bring violence. The only trick they have left is
Right.
violence. They're going to try to do another J6.
Right.
And I think MAGA got tricked into J6.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
shame on MAGA. You got tricked.
Right.
And as the Scots say, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yeah.
Don't let them fool you again. This
Right.
November 8th, they're going to try to turn into another J6. Don't let them do it. And the only way to avoid that is if we get a bunch of retired police and fire and people who are comfortable with de-escalation
Right.
being observers.
Good.
And
Oh,
so
I
there
love
won't be
that.
any question if these goons bring violence.
Right.
There won't be any question the next day because we'll have all the witnesses that society trusts are good. People who've sworn oaths to the Constitution. Let them observe everything and let them say. I'm really afraid the other side's going to bring violence. It's the only thing they have left. And everyone has to remember this is about if you bring violence or get part of any violence, we lose.
That's right.
We lose. I don't mean the Dems. I mean to China.
Yeah.
This country's done, and we're eventually taken over by China.
Yeah.
So
It's huge.
How can our viewers, listeners, support you, gain more information, and get involved with the America Project?
come to americaproject.com. Lots of information. There's a way. We'd love it if you would become a $5 a month contributor or just $5 contributor. We do all kinds of stuff all over the country. This is just one dimension of it, and it goes into patriotic stuff. And people don't. I don't take $1. I've spent well over $10 million on this issue so far.
Sure.
And this is what this is how you can help. And if you an immediate thing you can do is, so that's americaproject.com.
Sure.
An immediate thing you can do is go to onemoremission.com. We're asking these like soldiers, time for them save the country again.
Yes.
But the one more mission.
I love it. I love it.
Patrick, we're coming up against a hard commercial break, but we got a little more time. Your closing statements for our audience.
Well, it's like Eminem sang. It's one shot. If we don't pull off this, if by we I mean the people,
Sure.
this is a corrupt uniparty taking over the country.
Yeah, it is.
If we don't, we have to defeat this. Then we can go back to haggling about what we want to tax and spend and such. We have to defeat this corrupt uniparty takeover, and it's now or never. Right now, get involved and go to onemoremission.com.
Yeah, wouldn't you also say that other countries and nations are watching
You're
this very election?
I get told I'll close on this. I get these letters
Yeah.
from around the world or
Right.
messages on message boards. Mr. Byrne, you don't know me. I'm in Germany, and we want you to know we're holding on as long as we can. But the lights are going down, and all eyes are on America.
They are.
And everybody who's watching knows it comes down to this. What you're doing with the America Project is, frankly, what they say.
Yeah.
And what this election. So the whole world
Yeah.
is counting, and literally, this United Nations ambassador just came up to me
That
to
is
tell
amazing.
me the whole
That
world
is
is
such
counting
an
on what happens this election.
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
God be with us. And Patrick, you've been a great guest on the Conservative Commander Radio Show.
My goodness, yeah.
Thank you for all the incredible work you're doing.
Thank you, JD. It's an honor. It's a I get to do this. It's the honor of my life that I got to do this.
There you go. That's good.
Thank you.
That's good. Yeah.
God bless.
God
Thank you,
bless
sir.
you.